It's really interesting. You guys had mentioned a little bit earlier about making this whole thing more human. Since Robert and I are older, a lot of these people that we've talked to, that we've interviewed, are our age, right? And so we all grew up together and all of that stuff. And it's hard for us not to see that. Like, number one, we know that they're icons, quote unquote, and famous, but we also know them as people, right? And it's a weird, like, juxtaposition that a lot of people handle differently. Some people are very uncomfortable with, like, how they're perceived publicly with all the sort of fame, because they just want to be like that normal person. Other people are fueled by it, and it's a little bit of a happier marriage. But one thing I loved about our interviews so far is that that's what we want to that's what we want to show people. We want to show people that there is something underneath the sort of iconic status and all of the achievements and all of that stuff, because that is the beginning of a glimpse into how do you do that for yourself.
I think if you don't show that, it kind of sells those people a little short. Like,
Yep.
if you just think of this person as like a great player, he's a great player, he's a great player, it almost minimizes all the work they had to do to get there. Like, for me, I made Crown and marched Rhythm X and stuff, but man, there were days where I spent 45 minutes to an hour just playing accent tap in a practice room because I sucked at it.
Right.
And like, that wasn't the most fun thing I ever played in my career, but it was what had to happen in order for me to get to where I wanted to go, because I sucked at playing accent tap. So I got to figure it out. And to humanize those people, I think it pays respect to like the hard work. And I think that's a lot of like what we want to do today with the podcast as well. And our reaction videos and this stuff is, yeah, we critique things and we have our opinions about things for sure, but it's always under the respect for what these kids are being asked to do and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know what they had to do to make that spot or get that spot, or the summer that they had to do to make it to finals or semifinals or prelims or whatever. So yeah, I may be like, they just didn't have it. They just weren't as good as group X or group Y, but that would be never saying that they weren't good, because
Right.
I do understand what they're having to do.
Yeah. And whenever we do that reaction stuff, just to piggyback for a second and kind of clarify, I always, maybe more than I need to sometimes, I always try to make sure we iterate that or verbalize that at some point when we're like, man, that group played way better, or like, oh, they take that attack on that roll or whatever in the reaction videos. It's like, we're splitting hairs here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any of these groups from the first place percussion section, whether it's indoor, drum corps, all the way to 15, they're some of the best drum lines in the country. Even if you're getting 15th place, like, you're really good, whether it's drum corps, whether it's indoor. And so we are splitting hairs, but again, as part of that goal of a window into the top level, like, this is the kind of stuff that people that have been on the other side of the wall, this is how we assess this stuff. This is what we think when we watch these groups and how we're reacting, literally, whether it's in the lot live with no cameras on or anything, or Evan and I making reaction videos, or at the bar later with our friends, or at their apartment where we're staying. We're saying all the same stuff. And so we want to show this is, and honestly, we've had people tell us it's been educational for them, because like, we'll call stuff out and they're like, oh, I didn't even hear that bad last diddle. Like, Evan and I get so in the weeds sometimes where it's like, oh, that fell out of the very last diddle, man. And somebody can rewind and then hear what that sounds like, and they might learn from that. And so that's been kind of cool too. It's been unintentionally educational for others that have told us that since we've been doing this.
Honestly, the hardest thing is for me to watch the high school kids, just because, first of all, they're super nasty, a lot of them.
Yeah.
But I'm still like judging them on like Fred Sanford quality DCI, and then I'm like, oh wait, this kid's like 13, so all right.
It's like our ears are matured and tuned to listen for the perfection that like your Blue Devils or your Crown or whatever will achieve in the summer. So we know what really good sounds like, and we do have to remind ourselves a lot. Oh, that kid, that snare line, the oldest kid's like 16.
Kid can't even drive.
This is ridiculous. He's playing this clean, and it's still amazing at that. So